Oh, nope, too late. I was going to change the Instagram thing.
Oh, okay. Well, we're
We're
live.
live.
Did it work? I changed it. I updated the stream key.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Good.
so it should be working. Yeah, it should be
He's
working.
out there on Instagram. Tell us hi.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So it's Wednesday.
It is.
Week's halfway over. You have any fun plans this weekend?
Oh, back to Alaska.
You're traveling back to Alaska.
Oh, yeah.
So that should be fun.
Cold, I'm sure, compared to Colorado, but we will see.
But how many days or how many hours of sunlight are you having right now this time of year?
In Alaska, that's a good question. It's probably around 17 or 18, maybe.
Okay. So that's pretty good. I'm going to come out and visit. I told you, I just have another friend from Los Angeles, escaped Los Angeles, and and they just moved up to Alaska. So they contacted me the other day, and they're just right outside of Anchorage. So I was like, well, now I have two people I can go visit. So I'm going to come. All right. So we are live, as you can see, and if you can hear us, please go ahead and write in the chat hello. We'd also love to see where you're from and what your facility name is. We love that. Just kind of connects us a little bit more. So please write in the chat hello. And I'll go ahead and introduce ourselves. So I'm Shantae Marquez, and I'm joined with Carrie Campbell, and we are Profit Network coaches for the Dog Gurus, as well as your host for today's live. And if you don't know who the Dog Gurus are, we have been empowering successful pet care businesses since 1997. And one of our superpowers at the Dog Gurus is helping business owners increase revenue and reduce expenses. So can't we all love that, right? We also have the #1 pet care staff training system for canine body language and positive reinforcement dog management skills. So that's just a little bit about us. But, you know, we're in May now, beginning of May, and April, I really feel like kicked off the travel season, the spring break. That was really the pet care business's first little increase in the travel season. So I thought it would be perfect to talk about onboarding systems because Memorial Day is right around the corner, and a lot of the business owners are basically saying hello to not a lot of new clients, and they're going to be onboarding new clients. So let's talk about client onboarding system. And we have a lot of people saying hello. So if you want to,
I'm like chatting away. Somebody's from New Zealand. I'm like, what time is it in New Zealand?
Looks like we have Julie saying hello, Jessica, Mikey. And we also have Joe. And yeah.
We are international. We've got Canada, states, Idaho, California, but we've got New Zealand. This is a great live. We are so happy to see you all.
Love that. Well, I also made a little graphic for today's live that I want to share. So that way people can kind of see what the steps are to a good organized client onboarding system. And throughout the live, we're going to talk about each of these steps, but here's just a little graphic so you guys can either screenshot the screen or, you know, just we can refer to it. But let's talk about, there's really 4 main steps. And really, #1 is all about streamlining the intake experience for your customers and setting expectations with them. You want to seem really organized and well polished when you bring on a new client, because again, first impressions mean a lot. So, but first thing I wanted to really point out is you should really think about what are the ways that your clients come to you, your new customers. Do they call you? Do they do walk-ins? Do they just go for it and make an online booking? I mean, think about it. You really want to identify the #1 way that clients come to you and really make sure that however they approach you, that your system and onboarding them is really well run. And Carrie, for your business, how did customers generally come to you? The new ones, the brand new ones.
Brand new ones. So the majority of our clients came from word of mouth. And because we had a wait list, they had to fill out an online form to get on our wait list. So the minute that came into our system, We immediately sent them out information, giving them kind of tips of things that they could do between now and when we could get them in. We engaged them to let them know where they were on the list. We scheduled an evaluation appointment for them. Because one of the things that we didn't want to do was that keep somebody on a wait list for a long period of time that, we finally would get them in and then the dog wasn't suitable for daycare. We would rather do those evaluations up front. And then if the dog wasn't suitable, give them an alternative. So small group dog walking or enrichment or something like that. And so that was just kind of how we would get their buy-in very quickly, is to engage with them, even though we couldn't provide a service that day or maybe even that month. So.
Awesome. Yeah. For my business, because we were in Los Angeles in a very high dense populated area, and we had a lot of competition. A lot of people would first search for us online. They would find our information and then they would call. We didn't really have the online booking system activated at that time. When I was still in business, Ginger didn't quite have that app ready for the clients. But since then, I believe that they do now. So that's pretty cool. But even if I had a customer initially book online, I would still want to reach out and do the phone call, because in that first point of contact, when you have that initial conversation with them, you really want to find out as much about the client as possible. You want to find out what their needs are, the reasons why they're seeking out your services. And if there's I will say, like, anything that makes you go, oh, I'm not sure we're the right fit for you, you want to be able to address it with the client right then and there before taking a lot of their time. So, you're really finding information about their pet's history. What have they been to daycare or lodging before? Do they normally play in group play out at the dog parks? Things like that. You want to find out their medical history and, of course, emergency contact information in that first step. And then, of course, a lot of the new reservation systems also make it available that you can actually just push out the agreement forms electronically to the clients, and then they can sign those documents there. So you can notify them of that. And then, of course, in that initial conversation, you want to, schedule a meet and greet so you can actually meet the dog. So that's kind of like step one, I would say, client intake, information, service agreements, and scheduling the meet and greet. Now, I was a facility that actually catered to a lot of non-social dog. We called them human companion dogs. And even though they weren't going to be having fun in group play, they were going to be actually playing with the staff one-on-one, we still felt it was very important for them to come and do a meet and greet. Now, wouldn't you agree on that's important? Yeah, because, dogs really react to familiar and unfamiliar. So if you could make the dog more familiar with them coming to stay with you, or familiar with your facility before they come and stay with you overnight, it just will make the transition a little smoother for the dog. They're going to have less stress because they're going to be familiar with the sounds and the surroundings and just your staff. So I always recommend, no matter what, try to have that customer come in and do a meet and greet.
Shantae, on that note, let's say you had a dog that came in that was in the solo human companion dog program, if you did a meet and greet and the dog seemed like there was definitely a level of stress or anxiety, some nervousness, would you have them do a test night before somebody went on a 2-week vacation just to see how it went? Or did you just take them and think, we can get them past this stress within the first few days?
That's a great question. So we actually recommended them to come and do, depending on the severity of the stress of the dog, we recommended them to either do half days of daycare before they came or do full days of daycare. I mean, if the dog was just, like I said, it really depended on the level of stress. If the dog is really, really stressed out, then I would recommend just doing a couple hours with us in daycare and having the dog spend that short amount of time and then kind of increase it from there. So hopefully your customers are really planning out and they're not being last minute and just trying to, throw the dog at you per se. Because ultimately it is it is a hard thing for the dogs to adjust to sometimes, especially if they're new to the lodging environment or new to daycare, or just maybe they're elderly and they haven't been in the social environment a long time. It's really important to kind of ease them into the environment. All right, so let's talk about step 2. Now, step 2, the point of this step is really to build trust through transparent communication. So once you schedule that meet and greet, they're going to arrive and you're going to have an orientation with them and give them a facility tour and then conduct the meet and greet. And first thing I recommend is having whoever's going to be giving the tours and this orientation to review that customer intake form, because it's important for you to know specifically what the clients are there for and what their needs are. So that way you can give the tour, you can tailor the tour specific to them. And with that orientation, I also think it's really important to introduce to the clients what your mission and your core values are of your company, because that really is the brand. So go ahead, Carrie.
Oh, I was just saying, absolutely. I think that's key, is making sure they understand who you are and what your brand is and what your brand promises, what you're going to offer them, and how you are different from the competition that's in your community.
Exactly. I mean, because honestly, your core values and your mission, really, your core values are the pillars of how you make the decisions and how you develop your policies throughout your business. So really, they should be factored into every decision that you make in your business. And that needs to come clear across to your clients, just to understand who you guys are. And then, of course, once they do the meet and greet, really be transparent with that information. You want to give positive feedback, but also if they weren't a good fit for group play, then you need to really let them know that and give them some other alternative options. So Carrie, how did you handle that conversation with customers?
One of the things, well, I love human analogies when it comes to talking about dogs and dog behavior, because so often people don't really understand their dogs. I would say the majority of pet owners don't really understand their dogs. And that's just because they don't know canine body language. It's not something they've been exposed to. So we would start by talking about the dog, talk about what we were seeing from the dog, stress level wise, comfort level. And then we would just be able to come up with some analogies based on that. One of my favorites was to tell people, dogs can be introverted and extroverted just like humans. If you were an introvert and you stepped into an elevator in a 16-story building and it got stuck between floors and there's 8 people in that elevator with you, what's going to happen? I mean, I think some people, whether they're introverted or extroverted, would start to have some panic and stress, but somebody who really doesn't like being in the company of other people in that confined space, your heart rate's going to go up, your breathing pattern is going to change, you're going to start to perspire. All these things that are just physiological signs of stress in your body are going to occur. And when you give a pet parent an example of something like that they can relate to, and then you say, so really what we're seeing is that your dog is not really suitable for a large group type setting. So why don't we come up with something that's going to make your dog more comfortable, that they're going to enjoy more, and not say that they have a bad dog, because they don't have a bad dog. It's just, this is not the right environment for their dog. So, I used to tell people a lot, if your dog has a great life and 99.9%, and the 1% or 0.01% that you think they need is daycare, they don't need it. Now, if it's for a lodging situation, that's some stress that you can work through. And, being able to have that conversation with a pet parent and say, they may not be able to go into our group play setting while they're here on their stay, but we have this other program where they can be a human companion dog, and we have lots of employees who need companions throughout the day. So make it sound like, I love how you call them that, human companion dogs, because you can make it sound like, so we have a whole slew of employees here just waiting for a human companion that they can take care of. So I think, again, that's just kind of giving them that honest feedback, being transparent about what you're seeing in the dog's body language and what the dog is communicating to you as the dog expert, and then coming up with the correct solution for that dog.
Wonderful. Yeah. And also, I think we really encourage everybody to start putting some charging for the report cards. But I would say for this first meet and greet, you would want to give a complimentary report card so they can see what it looks like and get a feel for it. And then that might entice them to purchase that service for it from when they come and stay. So now we'll talk about step 3. And that's really after you give them the tour, have them go through the meet and greet, you need to ask them for that first reservation. So you want to schedule that first reservation. And at my facility, we always gave the new customers a welcome package. And in that welcome package, you could have a variety of things, but we always had a gift for the pet parent. And then we had a gift for the dog, and it could be swag or a treat for the dog or something like that. And then we also included a book of vouchers. And these vouchers were for free services. So like maybe if they were a lodging client, maybe we give them a free voucher for a daycare so that they can try the other services that we have. We had monthly parties at my facility. So we would give them one entry ticket to a party that's upcoming. Or if you have a variety, do bath service or grooming services, maybe you offer them a free voucher for spa upgrade, things like that. It's a good way to be able to cross promote your services and have them try new things. So they know that you do more than one thing that they came in for. Did you do anything like that? Any type of welcome packages?
We did. And ours was full of all kinds of stuff, but I don't want to say that it was all rules, but we had one that was just kind of like, here's the processes and procedures of things and how we do things. And, we required reservations for daycare. So, we made sure we laid all that out, but then we also included some fun things like mental stimulation for dogs and things that they could do at home that they would see, pretty quick results as far as changing a dog's behavior by including some enrichment in their lives outside of daycare. And then we also did, we had actually a free magnet in there that was for dog CPR and first aid. Mm-hmm. And we also did, we would cross promote things like nail trims and some of the other services that we did. Because we were mainly just daycare. We didn't have, the ability to offer like for grooming or lodging, but we included, like if we were doing an art project for the month, we would make that complimentary for their first art project. And so, yeah, I think it's a great way just to make sure that the pet parents have all the information they need.
Yeah, no, that's great. I love that you put in the information about your policies and procedures or just a bunch of educational stuff. So, which doesn't surprise me because you're big on education. So,
the funny thing is that we found our lobby was the one place that was common for all dogs that were coming into our facility that they could come into contact. And we knew that we had some little dogs that were fearful of big dogs, but we separated them all out. So what we would do is explain to the pet parents, we had, a set of double glass doors, and we would say, if you're outside on the sidewalk and you see that the dog in the lobby is a little dog and you've got a Great Dane, could you just wait before you come in the second door so that we can get that little dog through? And just, kind of common courtesy. But the other thing was that I think pet parents just tend to want to greet every dog that's out there. And you could see a dog fearfully reacting to somebody who is very tall and they're like, oh, Bubby, they're just kind of coming down on this little dog. And so we just kind of set our lobby as a no judgment zone. And we often have pet parents that are working on a sit or a certain behavior. So please don't interact with that dog unless you ask the parent that you can interact, So it's just kind of putting some boundaries and some guidelines there so that everybody came in the building and left the building safe and sound. So, because we just had to set those expectations so we didn't have any incidents in the lobby.
Wonderful. And of course, the last step in the system is really the follow-up. So, and this could include really two things. One, just a quick, brief survey. A lot of the reservation systems out there, the softwares, you can do a quick survey. And I would say when you do a follow-up survey, you really want it to be one question. It's really like, would you recommend us to your friends, or thumbs up or thumbs down. There's also Broadly is a service that does that, that you could purchase, and they integrate with your software, your reservation system, and they can provide that survey. But, you know, this is really a great way to also ask them to put a review onto your review sites, or if they weren't happy, it's a good way to really address it right away before they go out and put a review and kind of vent there. So if you see something come in that's a thumbs down, you know, you're going to want to reach out to them and give them a call and ask how they could have made their experience a little better. Now, the other thing with the follow-up is that you also want to have it built into your onboarding system that you do a confirmation call. And this confirmation call serves for many different things. Number one, you just want to make sure that they're going to show up to the reservation, that you're not holding in a spot for somebody who's not going to fulfill their service. But also you want to make sure and review that you have all the vaccine information that you need, or any of your service agreements, have they been signed and returned? You know, that's the time to address those things. And then lastly, in that confirmation call, it's an opportunity to do any upselling. So if they did not purchase a bath when they created the reservation, that's the time to let them know, hey, would you like, you know, Rocket to go home smelling fresh and clean? We have this wonderful new shampoo that is pumpkin spice, or whatever it is. You know, you can go ahead and upsell, or upsell them to the party that's going to be happening, or a special licky pad service that's going to be happening over the weekend. You know, there's all sorts of creative things to do. But yeah, that's pretty much it in a nutshell.
Well, and for those that are looking to increase their revenue, even in smaller steps, those add-on services are so important, because they do literally start to add up, and you will see your revenue increasing month after month when your staff is, you know, continually educating as well as encouraging pet parents to buy those add-ons. So you don't have to come up with an enormous new revenue stream when you can just kind of add to your bottom line each month with those add-ons.
Absolutely. And, you know, if you need help with creating your systems in your business, we have a couple different options. You know, we have growth intensive program, and that's really an pet care business owner program that teaches you A to Z on all the systems that you need to build in your pet care facility. There's so much information in there. It's really extremely helpful. But if you want just kind of a starter product, we have an standard operating procedures manual that's already done for you. It's a good baseline for you to have something to work off of. And I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen really quick. Here we go. So if you go to our website and you go to the store, it's going to be under the facilities information, facility operations information. But it's an already done for you manual. And what I did, it literally, I think, would have taken me 6 months to a year to create this. And it took me pretty much a month, because I just went through everything in there. I added things, I took things out that didn't fit my facility, but it's all like Word document that you can customize it to your own business. And it's a lifesaver. I'm telling you, huge time saver. So I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat as well, if anybody would like that.
Very handy tool.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. And that about, unless there's any questions out there, we'll give a moment to just see if there's any questions from anybody watching. We'd love to answer them for you. And while we're waiting for some questions, I'll also tell you about our Grow Your Pet Care Facebook group. So that is a place where you can go and talk with other pet care business owners, ask for advice, celebrate your wins, or just, you know, a place to know that you're not alone. Okay. So we really have 2 rules when you join that group, and that's be nice. So that's one of the Dog Guru's core values, is to be nice and positive. And the second rule is there's no selling. So we would love to have you join that if you haven't joined that yet. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat. Right there. And if there's no questions, we'll just go ahead and wrap it up. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.